Good afternoon. My name is John with the Pine Tree. I have the great pleasure of being here with Gary Tofanelli. Did I pronounce that right?
Tofanelli. Yes.
Tofanelli. Okay, I apologize.
It's all right, no problem.
Well, now you're running for District 1, right?
Correct.
And, well, we're doing a little series of these chats, kind of like the who, what, when, where, and why. And so if somebody's going to be voting for you for this year, tell them a little about yourself.
Well, I went to school in Stockton, and then after high school, I went to, like I said earlier, was a vocational school. I became a certified welder. I went to work for a company in Stockton doing fabricated high-rise buildings. I worked there for 21 years.
Wow.
I worked from the bottom level up to a management position. I managed the shop there with in excess, in the heyday, about 250 people. Did that for about 5 years. Then I broke off and I started my own company in the very early part of 1990.
Okay.
And my company is Steel Fabrication and Erection Company. So basically, I've only had 2 jobs.
So you're a steel guy.
I'm a steel guy. That's what I do. Yeah. I can fabricate it, I can erect it, I can draw it on drawings, I can read contracts, I can sign contracts. I have a contractor's license, C51. I've held that since '93.
Great. So if they get in a pinch in public works or something, you can jump in and.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Now, I guess. What drives you to enter the race? I mean, what did you see going on in the county that figure this is a time for me to try to do something?
Well, you know, I looked around, and Bill Claudino decided he wasn't going to run, and he decided that in the early part of February. I've been involved with Calaveras County Grand Jury for 4 years, and last year was the foreman. So I decided that take my knowledge in business, take my knowledge of what I've learned through the grand jury of the Calaveras County government, and apply it to help this county, especially in this district, to become, it's already the best in my estimation, but I'd like to help it become better. We're coming in some tight economic times,
right?
And I see a need for somebody that has my caliber to help the guys through.
Now, in this district, I mean, is there a consensus that I know in some of the districts in the county there's this feeling that the county in some ways is at a crossroads. It's you know, we still want to maintain the rural historic character, but as we grow, it has to be a managed growth, or I mean, if the growth is haphazard and stuff, we can end up with something we didn't really want. Is that one of the?
Well, yeah, the growth issue, you know, it's a big issue right here, especially in this district.
Right.
This district is one of the fastest growing in the county, along with District 5, the copper area over there. And it's been kind of sporadic on how it's been handled. There's been a lot of rooftops that's been built. Not a lot of economic growth to cover that. So consequently, when building industry starts, the residential building starts falling off, then you don't reap as many funds to maintain the county as you normally would during a heavy growth period in residential construction.
Got it.
So you actually do need some economic growth and stimulation to stimulate the tax base and create jobs for the people that are actually moving up there.
So I think is what you're saying is this is some of the things that the county is starting to realize as a whole is we can't have. I mean, we need more than just tourism and construction and real estate, because otherwise, if it tails off, we need more real jobs. Is that?
Well, you know, Calaveras County is very unique in the fact that there's 5 districts, which is not unique itself, but each district is in itself unique.
Oh, it is, definitely.
You know, tourism is very good for the Murphy's Angels Camp area.
Right.
They thrive on that. San Andreas, actually, in this district, has a lot of bed and breakfasts.
Yeah.
So they do thrive on tourism. But as you come down lower to the end of the western edge of the county, down this way towards Valley Springs area, Burson, and the Wallace area, it's not geared towards tourism. But yet there's a lot of concentrated population in this area. That's where you need the economic development as far as jobs that will pay an up-to-tier wage,
Right.
which would bring in some industry. And Toyon Business Park over there, it's been there for years, and it's meant for that type of,
Right.
of growth.
Right. It just needs sewer and water.
It
right?
needs sewer and water over there. It needs infrastructure. That's part of the problem that the county has right now.
That's its reoccurring theme, is the infrastructure.
That's right. You know, but there is some industry there, and it's actually set up for that. In the general plan, the way it has actually been written, but it was updated in '96, the last update, and it's being updated now, as everybody's aware of. That whole 12 corridor, all the way from San Andreas down to Wallace, is zoned for industrial and commercial.
Yeah.
That initially was the view of what the people had when they drew up the original general plan, that would be. However, for whatever reason, through the history, the infrastructure just hasn't gone through that way for whatever reasons, and then the zonings were changed, where you see down between Burson and Wallace area, you see a lot of residential properties being sprouting up over there. So that's zone changing in the south, just for the residential.
And I remember sitting in a few board meetings when those zone changes were going through, changing from industrial back to residential. So it's kind of an interesting, kind of an interesting twist. Now, with your industrial background, what types of businesses would you think that the county should try to look? I mean, is it growing from within, or try to attract businesses in?
Well,
what do you think?
I'm in favor of one. I think is I would like to see excuse me. I would like to see a satellite campus from like Delta College or somewhere here in the county for higher education.
Right.
That would be something simple, and it would create jobs as far as teaching and academic jobs. That would keep some of the people that are probably commuting into work at Delta College now from here. It would give our kids here a chance to stay in the county and get higher education here in the county where they live. And it would be a start to train those people, and it would show outside industries that we are trying to create a workforce.
Right.
And for them to choose from when they relocate here. I would like to see some types of industry where it would be not necessarily warehouse jobs or steel fabrication plants.
Right.
There's a lot of the Silicon Valley type jobs that are looking to probably move west with the higher cost of living in the Bay Area. We're very close to that area.
They'll still be close enough they need to get to the airport if they have to, or something like that, and still get it done. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And shipping costs would certainly wouldn't be too much more than what they are now for them.
Right.
And they pay some higher type wages to be able to keep the people here from commuting and having a job here that would be able to pay for the lifestyle that they're used to. I think. Well, I know Diane Gray with the Chamber put together some figures that she presented at the Board of Supervisors meeting. And within those figures, it showed that the available workforce in Calaveras County, 38% of that workforce is leaving the county to go to work.
Every day. Every day. Yeah.
We're losing out as a county a tax base as far as payroll taxes. Those are all those jobs are supplementing other counties, whether it be Bay Area, San Joaquin, Sacramento, Modesto, wherever, Stanislaus. We're losing those tax-based dollars there. We're also losing dollars that those people spend on their way home from work. I think the other day the Enterprise had put together a little piece in their paper that appeared in Tuesday's paper, where they were actually in District 1, they were in San Andreas area, and they were in the Marvell here down in Valley Springs area, asking people about their buying plans.
Right. Right.
And almost 90% of the people that they interviewed, they said that they spent at least 75 to 85% of their dollars outside the county.
Yeah.
That's retail dollars that would be supplementing Tuolumne County, Amador County, San Joaquin County. We need to get those dollars in here, into this county, during these economic times, and we would not feel the pinch.
Not as much.
Not as much.
No. That's a pretty consistent theme we're hearing a lot. That's
I think
that's good. It's now with your background in the grand jury and in following the county government. What are some of the things you see that need to be improved, or what changes would you try to do at the county government level? Anything that jumps out? Or
well, the first thing I would like to do is along the same theme lines. Is I would like to see an economic development board developed, where the board would have representatives from the business areas from each district,
right,
along with a chamber member and an at-large person, and also probably a supervisor on that board, and they would put together a strategic plan for economic development to broaden the tax base here in Calaveras County. I think it's needed. I think that they should come up with either a 5-point or 7-point plan to not only recruit jobs,
right,
but also to nurture the businesses that are here. With 75 to 85% of the people spending the dollars outside the area, that just shows how the businesses within this county are struggling.
Right, right.
Now, that's one of the things I would like to do on the Board of Supervisors. The other thing is that a big issue, not only in this district, is the ambulance problem. That's
a whole other issue.
That's another issue in itself. It is, and a lot of people don't know that the county belongs to an association. It's called Mountain Valley Emergency Services Association.
Right.
And they are actually the people that entered into the contract with the ALA. And what that is, that's a 5-county association between Calaveras County, I think Stanislaus County, Mariposa, Amador, and another county are involved in that.
Right.
Each county has a representative on that board, and that board was responsible for sending out RFPs, requests for pricing, for the ambulance service within Calaveras County. And the reason the county entered into that association is because the state mandates that each county must have an EMS, emergency medical service. The cost of the services was getting so high that it was costing the county between $250,000 to $350,000 a year to maintain it. They saw an opportunity to enter into this association where it would only cost them $50,000 a year.
Right.
So economics forced them into it to save some money. So they set out to enter into the association, and the association set out for RFPs for ambulance service in Calaveras County. They got bids, and ALA was the one that they chose to enter in the contract with. I have a copy of the contract, and I've been reading the contract. And according to the contract, the amount of service that was supposed to be available for Calaveras County they were supposed to have so many ambulances on the streets during the first year.
Right.
And then the number of calls that were made during the first year would dictate for the next years how many cars they would have to have on the road for the rest of the remainder of the year. But according to what I have found out, that ALA is claiming that they're able to keep up the amount of calls and the response time with the number of ambulances they've reduced to that they would have if they had more.
Yeah. I guess a question, and this is some of the things we've heard from from the Copperopolis side and also from the Ebbets Pass district side, is let's assume going forward and say that contract there's changes to it or it's not renewed or something. Do you think there's an opportunity for the county to go to more of the model that seems to be growing in the Bay Area and stuff, to where the fire districts have a paramedic on staff, so at least they stop the clock, and ambulance becomes more of just a transport function? Is that something that...
It's possible, but there's a lot of districts here, fire districts here in the county, and this, where I live here, they're strictly volunteer.
Right, so you're not going to have a gun. Yeah,
yeah, you're not going to have a paid paramedic on staff for 24 hours a day. It's certainly a trend that can be looked at, and I think Copper area is looking, their fire department is looking at it now. They have paid staff. Jenny Lynn has some paid staff, but I don't know what they're looking at in that area. That's District 5.
It's kind of that hybrid model. You know,
it is.
It's a little, I mean, because at least the clock gets stopped. They, you know, that's right. I mean, yeah.
And I don't know what the contract is between the county and Mountain Valley. I'm not sure if after the 5 years is up, and we're in the 3rd year of a 5-year contract with ALA, if there's only a 5-year contract with Mountain Valley, or if there was a contract at all, if they can pull out of that association at any time and go back to what they were doing before. You know, that certainly at some point could be an option, and that needs to be looked at, I think, because I don't think 3 ambulances for the size of this county, 24-hour ambulance cars and 1 12-hour is really...
Is a question on that is, now from reading the contract, is that the average response times that they're in there? So if they're, let's say they have a car stationed in San Andreas that is there within 5 minutes, but a response to Valley Springs takes 25. Are the response times averaged? I'm just throwing those numbers now. I'm not trying to, you know, but is it the average? I mean, did they get to lump those together for their average?
As far as I can tell right now, and I haven't read the whole contract, so you know, I just got it.
We're probably swerving off topic here for what we need to do.
But it's my understanding from what I've read so far, and it's about this thick, and I haven't read all of it, and I'm just getting into it, that their response time, a lot of it has to do with the amount of time when they get the call till they get a car on the road. Not necessarily the time the car gets to the scene, but how long it takes for them to get a car on the road.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Those were some personal interest questions for me, so we probably swerved off farther than we wanted. But is there anything else? Let's say when there are people getting ready to mark those ballots in June, what are some of the, I guess, the top 4 points that you'd like people to know?
Well, before we get into that, there's another issue that's a really kind of a hot topic in this district. You got it. And that's Trinitas Golf Course.
Yes.
And a lot of people that it's on the lip every time I meet somebody. I go to their house, and 90% of the time I'm asked, how do I feel about the golf course?
Got it.
And the golf course is not too far away from my home right here. It's just a hop, skip, and you're there.
Yeah.
But I did meet with the owners over there. I went over and saw them, and I did see some of the people from Keep It Rural, and I met with Joyce from myvalleysprings.com. And my response to most people is the way I feel. And the way I feel about the whole situation is the man, and I told him this straight up forward. I said, you know, you need to follow the law.
Right.
That's what you need to do. You need, whatever you've done and it was in the course of the law, then you have to pay for whatever it is to make it right. And you have to suffer whatever consequences that you need to suffer to make it right. And as long as you follow the law from here on out, and if the law states that you can't, if the EIR comes back and says that it's not feasible that you have it, then you need to tear it apart. If the EIR comes back and it says it's feasible and you can do it, then you need to follow the law and what needs to be done to get it to the point you want to get it to.
Okay.
That's all that anybody, I think, can ask. Is that Mike follows the law.
From here on out, at least.
Right, at least from here on out. Yeah.
Well, there's different opinions on that. I was throwing some conjecture there, but I guess...
But the law is the law, and that law protects everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's there for a reason.
Right.
You know, if he wants to build a golf course over there, and the law says it's within the realm of what his land is meant for, then nobody really has anything. They may not like it, but
he should be allowed to do it.
But that's because
he has the right to do it.
That's right. He has the right to do it.
Yep.
If it says he can't, then he can't. And,
right.
You know, and then he'll be mad, but that's, you know, your land use is not for that.
Mm-hmm.
So. I just wanted to cover that.
I understand, and thank you for jumping in, because I know there's a lot of people in this district that care very deeply about that project.
Yes, they do, and it's a very hot topic when you're going door to door. But as far as the 4 points you asked about, some of the points, I have, like I mentioned, I have 4 years on the grand jury, so I have, and the grand jury that I served on is called a civil grand jury.
Okay.
And what that is it's not what you see on TV where they bring criminals in front of you and present you with evidence, and you determine whether the guy should, you know, go to court or not. A civil grand jury investigates citizen complaints against the county and see if they're valid, and makes recommendations as to any corrections that need to be done if they are valid, those complaints.
Right.
It also has the authority to audit the county. Annually, they hire an outside auditor and audits the county's books to make sure all of the money is being spent where it says it's being spent, and it's being spent correctly. Mm-hmm. It's not being embezzled somewhere.
Right.
It also investigates any department within the county that it wants to. There are no limits to it. It can investigate any agency that receives Calaveras County tax dollars.
Got it.
They're subject to any investigation that the grand jury would like to look at. They look at their books. They can look at the way the operations work. Right. Or however, whatever they feel they want to do. Mm-hmm. They're not obligated to look at any complaint that comes in either. If a complaint comes in and they decide they don't have time, or they don't feel that they want to look at it, then they're not obligated to look at it either. Got it. So over the course of the 4 years, I have done a lot of investigations into the county works, the actual working of the county, so I'm very familiar with it. My background is business. For the last over 20 years, 5 years as management with over 250 employees responsible for the plant operations, and also for the last 16 years running my business and day-to-day operations of that. So that gives me an insight as to the business end of running a business. So those are the strong points that I have. Other than I've been here for 16 years and lived in the county for 16 years in the same house. I've been married to my wife for 36 years. We got married out of high school.
So there's consistency there.
There's consistency there. Very much so. My son graduated, my youngest son. My oldest son had already left the house by the time we moved up here. But my oldest son went to Calaveras High and graduated from Calaveras High. And he works for me now.
Oh, nice.
And he worked for me since he got out of high school. So
if you get elected, is he going to take over the reins while you...
He will.
All right.
I'll still have ties to it. I will help with contracts because my name is on the contractor's license. Right. And I will help out with doing the bidding process. Sure. But I will be a full-time supervisor. This position deems that somebody that gets into this job has the time to be able to spend whatever time it takes, whether it's 20, 40, 50 hours a week. I will be available at any time. I've been involved in my homeowners association here in Valley Hills for at least 15 years. Okay. And that's been involved in maintaining all the road system within the association. Right. So those are the 4 points.
And I'd like to commend you for running, because after following county government for the last couple of years, is I know firsthand the sometimes countless hours the supervisors put in. It's like a lot of the people may not always see it, but it's every chicken dinner, every Rotary function. It's there's some mileage involved in time away from your family and everything else. And I think people to make the commitment to want to do it, we should all commend them. I think it's a process. I mean, we see it. It's not something to be taken lightly.
just the campaigning part of it is taking a lot of time, as we talked earlier.
Yeah.
You know, it's consuming a lot of time.
Yeah.
There's a function to go to just about every day, or there's something that needs to be done. But you know, I've been involved in the homeowners association, so I you know, as a manager, assistant manager, or financial secretary for those years. So you know, I'm used to getting a phone call, you know, in the middle of the night, someone's dog barking, can I make it stop, or during the rainy season, the culvert's overflowing into my yard, or someone's septic tank smells. So you know, I'm kind of used to those kind of
calls will be similar, huh?
Probably so.
Well, thank you.
Well,
thank you very
for having
much.
me,
I
John.
appreciate it.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.